Welcome to my review of La La Land, directed by Damien Chazelle, a musical centered on a developing romance between a bright, doughy-eyed aspiring Hollywood actress and a pianist with ambitions of starting his own Los Angeles jazz cabaret. So La La Land is written and directed by Damien Chazelle, writer of a pretty fun but very flawed thriller called Grand Piano. He also has a writing credit for one of my favorite films of 2016, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and he's most notably known for writing and directing one of my favorite films of not only 2014, but one of my favorite films in any year, and that is Whiplash. Whether you're a film nerd, whether you're a music nerd, or you just like to watch entertaining movies, it's a movie that I highly recommend checking out if you haven't already, because it's awesome and I think it's a masterpiece. So naturally, given my passionate, immense love for Whiplash and just given the outright glowing praise that this movie has been receiving, I was pretty ecstatic to see La La Land. Despite me not being too fond of musicals outside of Sweeney Todd, The Sound of Music, most recent one being Moana because I love that one, and there's Inside Llewyn Davis if you even want to count that. It might not fit the traditional idea of what a musical is, but indeed it is very much a musical, and if I had to pick a favorite musical of all time, Inside Llewyn Davis would definitely be it, and that's a movie I also highly recommend. But to answer the big question, do I think La La Land deserves all the praise, all the accolades that it's been receiving? And to be absolutely honest with you, yeah, I do. This is not only one of my favorite films of 2016, but it actually might just be my favorite. The movie opens up with this rather elaborate song and dance number, and what's really impressive about it outside of the choreography is the dynamic camera work that's done without any cuts, or at least any noticeable cuts. And there are multiple scenes that are filmed with this daring and intricate approach, but it never once comes off as overly showy or overly praise-seeking, though it does of course compliment the actors, and it does demonstrate just great filmmaking craftsmanship by Damien Chazelle and a cinematographer and such. Like a lot of the camera work in Whiplash, it does provide these scenes with energy, and it even aids in the tone of certain scenes, like in the first half of the film, while in the second half, when the film becomes a little bit darker, the camera work becomes a little bit more subtle and still. Though getting back to the opening of this film, if there's any problem that I have with this film, it would be with the two opening song and dance numbers, with the lip syncing, and the overall recordings themselves, where the acoustics don't match the environment pretty much at all. However, as a side note, I would say that the first one is worse than the second one. Whether this was a conscious effort on Chazelle's part to maybe touch on the artificiality of Hollywood or not, it is pretty damn noticeable to tell that the actors who are singing aren't actually singing what's being heard in the movie. So yeah. Now to start talking about characters and actors, we do have Emma Stone, who plays Mia in the film, and I've described her as being very doughy-eyed, chirpy, optimistic, someone who does have her head in the clouds, or hence the title in La La Land. Her scenes, at least in the first half of the film, are more fantastical, the colors are more vibrant, and this is where the movie is more reminiscent of classic Hollywood musicals, given her overall obsession of classic Hollywood. On the other end, you have Ryan Gosling's scenes, Sebastian, a very charming traditionalist, where color is more subtle, it's more naturalistic, and same goes for the mood of his scenes. And one of my favorite scenes in the entire film does feature Ryan Gosling playing the piano, and it actually is him playing the piano, though the music was composed by Justin Hurwitz, the same composer of Whiplash. But anyway, I found this particular scene to be quite chill-inducing given, again, the camera work, the lighting, and especially the beautiful piano piece that does serve as Sebastian and Mia's theme. All of their scenes separately, they are great indeed, but if you really want to know where this film shines, it's when those two get together and they share the screen, and I gotta say, they're just so freaking adorable together. Their scenes are dreamlike, terrifically charming, and their scenes are not only able to maintain, but flourish with heaps of pure sincerity, all completely void of sap. Particularly in the second half, when the film starts to tread into more complex territory. Unlike Sing Street, another musical that came out in 2016, I know a lot of people liked it. I personally felt that it was selling something that was false towards the end. Sing Street never once pussies out. Whether you're talking about the relationship or you're talking about the harshness of dreaming big in a city where a lot of dreams come to die. Throughout the film, Emma Stone's character Mia, she attends a plethora of auditions and is just repeatedly coldly shot down at every single one of them. She does her best to remain jovial, but man, it really does just kind of suck to watch this character go through all this because I felt some of those shots and I'm not even an actor. That said, I don't think you have to be an actor in order to sympathize with the Emma Stone character because I think we've all been there. That feeling of rejection, that feeling of putting yourself out there and just being completely shot down. Meanwhile, you have Ryan Gosling's character Sebastian, who's pretty much just swimming upstream by being a traditionalist jazz pianist who wants to keep jazz pure and untouched by the modern poppy sounds of today's music from such people as John Legend in the film and perhaps in reality. This is undoubtedly a commentary by Chazelle, but he does include a counter-argument, or at least a counter-commentary via the John Legend character that pretty much states that in order to keep something that you love alive and from fading into obscurity, you have to either reinvent it or you have to at least implement it in a way that is accessible for the masses. Moreover, this film is ultimately about two very passionate dreamers who find solace with one another because of their dreams being constantly crushed. And even if the dream were to live on, or even if the dream does live on, this film does ponder the question, what is truly important in life? What is the ultimate dream? As for the scoring and the soundtrack, I think they're both fantastic, and I do think the soundtrack will give Lin-Manuel some well-deserved competition at the Academy Awards this year. It's pretty fantastic. And in case you're wondering, La La Land is very much a musical. However, I would still say that a significant majority of the dialogue is said rather than sung in the film. That said, there is a lot of instrumental stuff like in Whiplash, so you do have that throughout the film as well. So regardless whether it's singing or instrumentals, in fact I would probably say there's more instrumental stuff than there actually is singing, music does play a very prominent role in this movie. La La Land is a product by somebody who not only loves filmmaking but loves music and is able to combine the two in just this masterful unison in a way that most film enthusiasts and filmmakers could only dream of doing. And not to mention, this movie did manage to move me, particularly in the last remaining minutes. I got a little misty-eyed. So with all that said, I'm going to give La La Land a very strong 4.5 out of 5. If you're somebody who has seen La La Land, then do let me know your thoughts on it. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do let me know. And as always, I'm Colin Kirkland, and thank you so much for watching.